Hey everybody, welcome to Olympic Minds Leadership Beyond Limits. This is a podcast for leaders and the visionaries. This is for people who really want to go beyond success into significance, and for those people who want to go beyond mediocrity into mastery. This is not theory. This is from people. The people I interview, they're really out there. They're living it. They're currently in the C-suite. They know from experience what they're talking about. So this is not theory. This is grit tested. It is heart proven. Right. And so what you're listening to today is from a friend of mine, Edgar Escobar, who is a C-suite executive. And folks, what I want to tell you about him is this. Look, when I interviewed him, we had a great conversation. He's the kind of person that's really authentic, and not only authentic, he's the kind of leader who wants his team members to excel. It's not about him. It's about the team. It's about the company. And so he's out of the ego and into really being a servant. So, hey, I'm your host, Sherry Winn, two-time Olympian, national championship basketball coach, leader and CEO of the Winning Leadership Company. So Edgar, why don't you tell people a little bit more about yourself?
That's probably the hardest question, to be honest, because you start saying like about your family, you like talking about all the accomplishments you have, all the challenges you've had. And the last couple of months, not longer than that, I've come to a simpler definition. I'm someone who likes to resolve complex problems. I like working with people. I like putting it. I like trying to put all the weight on my back, on my team's back, and just try to fix problems. And that probably, in order to do that, everything else comes along. Everything aligns, because fixing something that is complex, it's about having the right people around you, having the right skills, having the right history. So yeah, I would say that's me, just someone who likes to fix complex problems.
So let's talk about complex problems, right? So a lot of people take complex problems and they make them more complex, right? I mean, they're like, and so I know from talking to you, that's not your style. So tell us a little bit more about when you have a complex problem, what goes through your mind? I mean, how do you break that down in such a way that it makes sense not only to you, but to the people that on your company and those around you?
Right, again, and actually you just made it, because if I go to people and say I like to fix complex problems, everyone will go like, oh, that's what I do. That's what I do on my daily basis. But actually, it's about making it simple. If you have something that it's really, really complex and you are able to do it easy, well, it works. And that's what I love about sports. You go and see either Federer or Djokovic, you go and see Kobe, you go and see Michael, you go and see all these players. And when you see them play, they go like, they're dancing, they're just enjoying what they do. Reality behind that, there's hours of training, hours of understanding, hours of taking very complex problems into something that is simple. So to your question, I think it's about fully understanding every small detail around a methodology and put it into process. People don't tend to do that. And I think that's the main process in making something complex into something simple. Just try to put it something that has a lot of problems, a lot of angles, a lot of corners. Just try to put it in small boxes and try to put it together until eventually you go and say, oh, this was simple. It's not a very, very hard problem. It's 100 easy problems. And that's something anyone can fix.
I like that, 100 easy problems, right? So when you can get into that, I think that's the same thing that any great coach understands. Like, so when I coached basketball for 23 years, it was like, you couldn't start with just, this is what the offense they're running. You have to start with, this is the small piece they're doing, and how do we defend that piece? And then you defend that piece over and over and over again, so that it becomes simple, right? Everybody knows how to do that. What happens is when people want to be smart, like, so they're all in their ego. So they want to show people how smart I am. So they're like, oh, I'm so smart. And they make it more complex and they keep it complex. But when you do that, then you don't have everybody on board. You've got some people who can get it. You got some people who are struggling. And I know this, when people struggle, they get into procrastination, right? So it's like, when you make it so hard, people procrastinate because that's what happens when they're overwhelmed. So you want to keep people out of overwhelm, right? So one of the things you mentioned, Edgar, is you talked about, look, you have to know it. Like, you really have to learn your stuff. So tell us about, what do you do on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a quarterly basis or whatever that keeps you in the know of what's going on? How do you keep in that realm of what's happening, so you're able to dive into a complex problem and make it simple for people?
That's, again, a great question. I think the first problem is about acknowledgement. Things tend to move faster than you know, faster than you expect, and faster than you actually think that you can handle them. So I think the first thing that you need to do is acknowledge that things are just moving way too fast. Reality is that I remember this, I don't know if it was even a joke, but it was this guy looking for someone, it was like 5-10 years ago, looking for someone who was really good on microservices, which is a technological skill. And he was looking for someone with over 10 years of experience. At the time, the technology itself had 5 years. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think the first thing that you have to do is acknowledge things are just going to move fast. Second, try to work around smart people. If you do that, they'll bring you stuff, and somehow they'll try to just fix it for you. They'll try just to be like a spear. They'll tell you which are the things that you should be learning about and what you should be reading about, because if you just try to gather everything, you won't have the time.
Right.
So I think that's really, really important. Last, well, I wouldn't say last, but another thing that's important is take your time to learn new things. Every week, just take an hour, 2 hours. Maybe it's not something related to a project, something that I did for many, many years, especially on my data lab teams and the data science teams, is each of them, besides their projects, besides their 80-hour weeks, and besides everything, I would have them teaching us about something new, non-related to data science, but because they're data scientists, probably there's some level of connection. I remember guys speaking about how to know when an industrial machinery was about to just break. So he was using data science in something that he loved, that was machines. I remember people talking about music, people talking about arts, people talking about sports. All these guys were data scientists, but they were teaching us something fun, something new, something complex, on their own words and their own passions. I think that'll help a lot.
Oh, I love that. Golly, I mean, having people teach something, I mean, first of all, that means you have to know it, right? So if you have to teach it, you have to know it. And the more that you teach it, the more you know it. It becomes, something very deeply ingrained within you. And then understanding that really, if you look at things, you can create a relationship somewhere, somehow you can create that relationship, right? And you're giving the people the opportunity to just share their knowledge, to be in front of people, to share something that maybe they love or passionate about or whatever. I love that. It's such a great way to keep knowledge, maintain knowledge, and to stretch your boundaries, because you never know where that kind of little piece you're learning can come back into play again, right? What a wonderful way. I love that. I love that. So you also talked about, one of the things you said is work around smart people. Here's the thing that I see. Well, I'm not going to talk politically at all, but here's the thing I see is a lot of times we see people who do not want smart people around them because they think they have to be the smartest person in the room. And that stops them from learning and growing. So how do you had to, at some point in your life, you had to say, listen, it doesn't matter if I'm the smartest person in the room. You had to have the confidence to admit that. So how did you get to that level of being like, hey, I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I'm okay with learning and growing with other people. And I know I'm smart enough in the things that I'm in this area, and that's enough, right? How did you get to that place of confidence to allow really smart people to work for you, and maybe who are smarter than you are in several different areas? Where did you learn that, or where did you come to that place in your life that you had that kind of confidence?
I don't think it happens when you're 5, 20, or 50. I think it happens after experience. And I will tell you 3 stories. The first one, I remember it was probably 22, 23 years ago. It was a smart guy, to be honest, mathematician, engineer, economist. So I had all the skills. And I remember my boss was the CEO of the company. We had this program where he was mentoring smaller kids, which I was at the time. And I remember I had this meeting. There was a VP, there was the CEO of the company. There were like 4 or 5 big guys at the conversation. And I remember finishing that meeting and going to my boss, the CEO of the company, and saying, I nailed it. I was the smartest guy in the room. I was talking all the time. I was just showing them the stuff. He looked at me and he said, "We're done for today. You don't get it. It's not about being the smartest guy in the room. It's about being the dumbest guy in the room." And it took me probably 15, 20 years to actually understand that. So I remember I left that room saying, "He doesn't get it. I'm the smartest guy. I'm the bomb." And reality is that it's not about that. So it took me 20 years to fully understand something that he told me in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
The second story, probably it's about math. Imagine you have an 11 people team. Let's say I'm a 10. I'm an 11. I can be an 11. And all my team, it's a 2. If you add that up, they'll give you 30, 31 the most. But let's say that I'm not at 11 anymore. Let's say I'm capable of showing, teaching, making my people move from a 2 to a 5.
Mm-hmm.
By doing that, I'm not an 11 anymore. Let's say I'm a 0. Let's say I don't bring any value. Let's say that for a second. Do the same math. 10 people out of 5, it's 50. So it's not about how you can be the best. It's how the people around you can be the best. And that's really, really hard. So I think at the end, it's a little bit about just doing that and making sure that people fully understand.
Well, it's experience. I mean, you. This is the cool thing is you had a mentor that planted a seed, right? And so that seed of wisdom was planted in you. Then you had to have the pathway of experience to really understand the seed that he planted, right? And that's what wisdom is. Because so, a lot of people have knowledge, but they don't have wisdom, which is knowledge plus experience. And so without the experience, that knowledge never gets to wisdom, right? And so you were able to move into wisdom. So it's talking about that, like, you're a mentor of people. I mean, you like to mentor. So when you talk to your team members, what is the lesson that you would most want them to learn from you?
I think we're in a world where people are not fully honest. I think that people tend to show off their abilities and try to diminish their weaknesses. I think that's what we usually do. People do that, and I understand why they do that. What I tell my people is do the other way around. Try to fully show your weaknesses and try to diminish your abilities. If you're capable of doing that, you'll eventually catch your potential because you'll be very honest on who you are. And that's really, really hard to do because at the end, we're in a very competitive world. We are trying to show ourselves. So trying to build people that are fully showing their best, their real best, saying that the real best, it's a combination of weaknesses and skills. I think that's the main thing. Now, how do you do that? It's really hard because I don't think there's an actual recipe for that. Everyone is different. Everyone wants different things. So I think it's about talking to people, but really talking to people. I tend to spend time with my people just talking. And sometimes they go like, "Oh, but we had a really big problem." And I was like, "Yeah, we're going to fix it. Don't worry." Is it that the real problem? Is that the reason we're here? And it takes some time, but eventually people slow down. They start to show their best. And the good thing about this is when that happens, you get the best out of people. So,
I love that you just talked about, talking to your people. I mean, really talking to them. I just got back from West Virginia where I coached and had one of my players in the Hall of Fame. And so some of my players showed up. And so I was talking to them and I was listening to one of them. Now, so one of my players, I was like, man, she should have been better than she was. Like, I was like, how did she not tap into that? And I was listening to her talk. Now, this is like 15 years later. You remember that 15, 16 years later. And I heard her and I was like, oh my gosh, she has no confidence in herself. Like her languaging, as she was speaking, she was consistently putting herself down in little ways, right? And I was like, oh, wow, how did I miss that as a coach? Because she was a tall player, she had all kinds of skill. And I kept thinking she just never got there. And the reason she didn't get there is because she didn't have that inner confidence. And then my thinking was at that moment, I was like, how did I not know that? How did I not have a deeper conversation so that I could unlock her genius? And it was because I was thinking back, I was like, man, I don't think I just expected her to do this. And I didn't know the depth of who she was. And had I uncovered that and helped her through that lack of confidence that she had, because we show up like, I have it, I know it, I've got it. But if I would have known that, I'm sure that she would have been twice the player that she ended up being. And so what you're talking about here is really getting to know your people at a deeper level.
That's it. And as you spoke, I had a couple of ideas in my head. On one end, how you feel you're the boss and you have to be like the best. And reality is being the boss is a very lonely job. So you tend to forget that you actually need to listen to people, not show that you're the best. Mm-hmm. And on the other hand is, I don't think that we fully acknowledge that when you gather the spark in someone's eyes, which that's really hard to get, really hard to do, people just, well, they shine. It's as simple as that. Now, getting into that, it's not easy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of passion. It's a lot of knowledge. So people don't tend to do that because my daughter is a 7-year-old. Of course, we watch all the kids movies, and I love Monsters Inc. because it gives you more energy to laugh than to scream. But getting those laughs, it's harder.
Right. I think that great leaders, and this is my opinion, right? Great leaders are great coaches, right? So they are interested in, I see you, I bring you in, I know that you're a high performer, I can see your talent, and I know there's more to you, right? So they're the people that really extract, like they're interested in why the person shows up this way, what's going on in their world, I can see your potential, you're not reaching it. What do I need to do to unlock that key to you to get you to the next level? And so I think coaching is a big part of leading, and new leaders don't know this, right? They don't understand that the true power in what you do is that you're really talking to your people, elevating your people, figuring out what their biggest obstacles are, helping them through their biggest obstacles, even when their biggest obstacle often turns to be themselves.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Look on. Last week, I was doing my program for Aspen Institute, Global Network, and just trying to become a better leader. And they invited us to this school in a very challenging place. I think that's the best way to put it. I met a lot of kids. I met the head of the school. We met the model. They were building the school, and they had a very unique model. Basically, they're trying to work as a company, but trying to get the best out of the kids because the kids are the one that show the school works. I won't be able to explain what they do in 30 seconds, but it's just amazing. What I wanted to tell you about is most of these kids, they didn't have a chance to go to a university. Probably they didn't have a chance to finish high school. It was not an option for them. Mm-hmm. And after many, many years of hard work, you could see that most of these kids were thinking about, hey, I want to be an engineer. I want to be an architect. I want to be a lawyer. And in reality, two things came to my head. The first one is it was something real for them. It was not something like, what am I going to do tomorrow? It was like, I know I want to do that. And second, and this is the most important part, when they talked, you could see it in their voices. You could see it on their eyes. It was just amazing. You could see a kid outside of this school and you could see like, he doesn't have a future. But now listening to these kids inside of this bubble, inside of this school, showing inside their eyes, saying, I'm getting that. I'm waking up early, I'm sleeping late, I'm doing my best, I'm finding, because you build a world around them that can handle that. Right. So it's exactly the same with people, and you said it's about showing them, it's giving them opportunities, listening to them, trying to get the best out of people, and they'll give it back 10 times later.
Absolutely. They have to be in an environment where they have the opportunity to be successful. Right. And so you're talking about young people, when initially they didn't have the environment to be successful. I also find this it doesn't matter what age you are, right? If you build the culture, right, and you said earlier, find the right people with the right skills, and then you have to then put them in the right scenario so that they can succeed. So what do you think are the 2 or 3 things that team members need to succeed, like in a culture? What do they need to really succeed in a culture?
That probably is a hard one. You have to be humble. I think that's the first one. You need to fully understand, again, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, work around them both. I don't fully believe that, there's theories that go like you should just do better on what you're good and just, no, I think it's about the right mixture of those. Second, and we talk about that, ego, that's just so hard. We are in a world where we need things. So somehow that neediness and ego, they fight.
Right.
But you try to take to avoid that. And last but not least, it's remember that you can always, I heard this phrase the other day that was like, an opportunity, it's the mixture of luck and hard work. So if you are not capable, prepared for that moment, that moment won't happen. And if it doesn't happen, you won't have the chance.
Right.
And you know this better than I do, but that's what I love about sports, that all those movies, all those histories where you have someone in the last second shooting that ball and making the shot and everyone's screaming. No, I think no one really knows, and you do.
Yep.
That's the combination of just, it was at that exact moment, but I was preparing myself for the last 20 years.
Yeah. There's no one moment, right? It's the moments before all the moment, right? It's all that work. And so it's the hard work. And so when people say somebody's lucky, what they're really saying is, look, this person has done everything they needed to do to prepare for this moment. And that's true of anything. I mean, I like to use sports because obviously I was an athlete, as an Olympic athlete, and then also as a coach for 23 years, but it's the same in business. The people who are, it's not that they get lucky. I mean, yes, we have geniuses, we have those kind of things, but that doesn't necessarily dictate success. Like my most talented players, like talented, I mean, in terms of like speed and jumping ability and power and agility, that did not always go into success, right? Because there's something between those two. And when I interviewed a lot of people for my book, Winning Business Secrets, is the last book that just came out. I asked them about high performers. Like, how do you hire for high performers? So it's not just talent, right? So you want the talent, and the talent has to be a certain level. But when you're looking for a high performer to bring into your company, besides the talent, what's that characteristic that you're looking for?
Well, you're right. You're totally right. And we don't get to understand that. And we go to the beginning of this conversation. We think that fixing something complex is just easy. It's not. It's trying to fix the small things. Maybe that guy that was really, really good and he wanted to be the best, he had problems waking up early.
Right.
So it has nothing to do about how good he is, how fast he is. It's about fixing something small. Right. And probably if you go back, he doesn't really have a problem about waking up early. He has a problem about going to sleep late. And probably there's something behind the way that he eats. And the only way that you'll actually understand that, because your problem is how he performed at training, is how he's eating the day before. So you need to go with him, talk to him, try to fully understand. Right. And at the end, he'll give it back to you. And you said it right. I think at the end, sports, management, all these spaces are kind of the same. And that's not because it's fun. It's because it's people behind it. And it's about the same problem.
Yeah, so you bring in people, and I think that people are the business, right? I think we forget that all the time. We're thinking about how do we scale the business, how are we more productive? If we have a service, how do we get the service out there? And people are behind all of those, right? I mean, so people forget that. And so that brings me to this. How is AI going to disrupt this whole, everybody has to have AI. There's no business moving forward that's going to be successful without AI. How do we blend, AI with people? How do we make sure that there's a blend with that so that people are still needed, right? We still need people. I mean, people are like, oh, if we have AI, we're not going to need people. So how do we blend that and letting people know that, look, I can put something in AI and it spits it out in like 30 seconds, which would have taken me days, right? Mm-hmm. So we could get this like complex, I'm never going to be smart enough or whatever. But how do we use AI in such a way that we still honor our team members, right? And still using AI and blend people and AI in such a way that our people still feel honored and valued.
Look, I've been doing AI for 15 years, probably, and AI has been around for more than that. Of course, these new AI, Gen AI, as we said it, it's been more fun for people because they found a way that, let's say, less technical people can work around AI. And because of computers, fastness, and everything, yeah, today it's bigger than what I did 15 years ago. But what I'm trying to say here is that I've been doing it for a long time, and AI, it's not the first AI. And let me walk through that.
Okay.
We had, before AI, we had cars, we have the industrial revolution. We've had different moments in time that we've had something new that makes us 100 times better. Who goes past, oh my God, there's nothing I can do around this. There's nothing for me. This is the end for me because there's something that is going to take my job. There's something that is going to do things better than I can. All that stuff. Well, there's people like that, but there's others that take this tool, and that's probably the right word, this tool, and they make themselves better. Mm-hmm. Reality is that in a day, I would love to do 100 things. But before AI, I was only able to do one. Now I can do those 100 things. I have to change my mindset and understand that it's about being more critical, having more information, making better decisions, even talking to AI for them to make a decision. Just making that conversation makes you way better. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, imagine, and let's see if this works. Let's say that I have to go from Miami to Orlando. Can I do it walking? Yeah, I can. Let's say there are no cars. And one day someone brings in a car and I say, I don't have a job to do. Why? Because I don't have to walk to Orlando. Well, there's this car. No, I'm not using the car. The moment I learn how to use that car, the moment that I'm capable of being really, really good at that with that car, I'll be able to go to Orlando faster and do what I was meant to do at Orlando for more time. And maybe not only go to Orlando, but go to Atlanta. And maybe not only go to Orlando, New Orleans. So when I come back, I'm better because I was able to do more in less time. Right. Now, there's a very, very big challenge behind what I'm saying. And I don't want to sound longer, but is the people prepared to use the tool? And probably let's speak about that a little bit later. But again, if you give the right tool to the right person, right, it's just amazing. But if you give the right tool to the wrong person, you have a problem. So,
right. Well, I think there's a lot of people that fear AI because they fear, that one, they'll lose their job. That's one fear. And to me, it's like, okay, how do I make myself more valuable so that I don't lose my job, right? That's you're asking the wrong question. Mm-hmm. And the other thing about AI is I think it really teaches you to learn how to ask the right question. Because if you don't ask the right question, you're not going to get the right answer, right? And so I think that's also true. Like that's a skill that you can also take from there to the people you're talking to. If we don't ask the right question, we're going to get the wrong answer, right? And so when I was talking about this young lady, not so young anymore, but I was talking about this young lady, and I was like, oh my gosh, I missed it. Like I missed knowing her because I never asked the right questions. Had I asked the questions, the right questions, I could have probably unraveled and helped her really become, her full potential. So part of that is twofold. I think when we're looking at people, right, we're looking at, number one is that we have to, as leaders, learn more about asking good questions. It also helps if we teach our team members to have the ability to be a little bit more introspective, to be a little bit more self-aware, right? So they know the questions that they should be asking. So I think it's twofold. And I think if we skip either one of those pieces, that overall we lose. So what do you do? I know one of the things you mentioned with your team is you said, look, I get them to teach something to the team as they get to teach a passion. What else, Edgar, do you do to really help your team members grow and learn?
Do you ever ask yourself if you have the right fundamentals? So when you go into sports, people can be very agile, very good, and you don't see that they're doing something wrong. And when they become really good at it, it seems that they have the right fundamentals, but people usually don't. And that's in sports. But when you go back to businesses, it's exactly the right thing. Why do we have, and let me go through an example, why do we have to learn another language if you have real-time translators? Or if I'll never leave the States and I only need to speak in English? Why? So why is the reason that you learn something that probably 500 years ago was so important, but nowadays it's not? It's about fundamentals. What do you learn about learning a new language? It's about how do you communicate properly to someone else. Writing. Do you need to write anymore? No. So AI just takes everything that you say and put it on better than you do, and you've been having keyboards for 50 years now. So why do you need to write? And it's not about writing itself, it's about how do you do to communicate properly. Just the fact of doing things. So sometimes you need to go to your team, and this is really, really hard, and see if they have the right fundamentals. Are they thinking properly? Do they have the right skills to fix the right problem? So again, that's probably one of the challenges that I think that we'll have with AI, because AI will start doing things for everyone. And when it will do things for someone who is prepared, it'll show that that guy was really, really good. And when it starts doing things for people that are not very prepared, it'll seem that that guy is doing stuff right, and he's not. Because again, if you say people were evaluated from 1 to 100 before AI, now it's going to be from 1 to 1,000. You need to become 1,000. You need to be 10 times better. You always will be able to get to that point with the right tools. You need the right shoes, you need the right appeal, you need the right nutrition, you need the right sleep in order to be the best you can be. AI will do that. So you need to make sure that you have the right fundamentals. So when that comes in, well, you can be your best.
Yeah, one of the things I learned about AI was, I was asking it a question, and then my mentor taught me you need to ask it how to ask the question. And I was like, oh wow, because we're talking about prompts and whatever, and he goes, you've got to ask, you put yourself in there, and then you ask it to create the prompt, so it's asking itself the right question from the right prompt. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think about that. So we're talking about fundamentals. That would be a fundamental thing to learn that would really help you evolve what you're doing. And I think that goes back to always as a human, though, is that constant self-evaluation. I think this is so important. How did I show up today? Was I at my best today? How did I treat other people today? Did I stop and talk to somebody? Did I listen when I talked to them? Or was I, that self-evaluation, I really think that's the key to whether you're an athlete or you're an executive or whatever it is. The more you understand you, the more that you can sit back and evaluate, whatever it is that's important to you. If you can evaluate that and keep it top of mind. This is the critical thing, is sometimes we evaluate ourselves one time and then it's forever gone. That's not keeping it top of mind, but it's really keeping it top of mind. So, Edgar, if you were to evaluate yourself on a daily basis, if you were to look at yourself, what are the 3 things that you think are most essential, as an executive? What do you think the 3 things are the most essential for you to show up daily that helps you continue to be one of the best of the best?
To be honest, I don't know, but I can think about 3 things. I think the first one, and we talk about it, it's about honesty.
Yep.
You can imagine how many times you fail on a single day. How many times the honest answer is, I don't know. So just being honest and saying, hey, I made a mistake. Hey, I don't know. I know at the end of the day, you need to know it and you need to make a decision. Yes, and that'll happen. And everything that we've been speaking for the last half an hour might show that, people are important in companies. No. We want companies to be highly successful, to have high revenue, to have great performance. We're just showing the path towards that. So it's exactly the same here. By showing my weaknesses, by being honest and saying, hey, I don't know. Hey, I would like to do better. I'm just putting in front of me the right challenges. This is what I need to fix in order to fix the right problem. So I think honesty is one of those. Probably the second one, it's acknowledge, and we talked about this before, that you are really alone. being the boss. So the first thing, it's you're the boss. It's even a word that doesn't mean like people change the oh, you're the boss. It's really hard being the boss. You're really lonely, and you've seen more and more how this attacks your mind, how this affects your performance. And in reality, you need to acknowledge that you are alone, that you need your time. You need time to talk to someone. You need time to just refresh, to unburn out. I don't know if that's even an option, even a word, but just trying to get out of that constant scenario of just fighting and trying to find something through fighting. So I think acknowledgement is really important. I would stay with those two. I would have to overthink the third one, but I think those two probably are the ones that might help you on a daily basis. And if I would have to bring a third one, it's, and we talk about this, I don't want to bring it again, it's just understanding that the world is just moving way too fast. So it's probably about being flexible, understanding that whatever you knew, whatever you understood, how right you were yesterday, well, probably today just the game is different.
Well, that's true, right? I mean, it's that being able to be flexible and adaptable. But I want to go back to this, acknowledge that you're alone, right? So if you're at the top, nobody else gets it. I mean, you can have your COOs, your CFOs, you can have your senior vice presidents, whoever around you. They're still not making the decisions that the person at the top of the top is making. Like, they still don't get the whole picture. They still don't understand it. And even though you want to invite those people in and you want to have conversations with them, there's still this, you're in this space that is hard, because at the end of the day, you're responsible for whether or not you're successful, like everybody below you is successful, right? Because that's what a good leader does. They say, if we fail, that's on me. If we succeed, that's on you. Like, that's the mentality of a great leader. So that loneliness. So what do you do? I coach a lot of executives, and that's one of the reasons that I coach them, is they just need to have a sounding board. They don't really need, they know stuff. They just need to have a sounding board, right? They just need to have somebody that they're just talking it through with. I don't have to give them an answer. I just got to ask them questions and let them kind of talk it through. So, so you're at that level of making those big decisions. And so how do you keep, what do you do to help yourself in that loneliness spot? What is something that you do? Is it you talk to your spouse? Do you go to masterminds? What do you do to help yourself at that position?
So if I go and just answer your question, probably I'll go with the same as everyone else does. I'll tell you about leadership programs. I'll talk to you about education. I'll talk to you about a coach. I'll talk to you about all those things. Don't get me wrong, that are really important. Mm-hmm. Now, let me go back probably a notch. And I think it's about the most important piece is about acknowledgement. Because the moment that you understand that you are alone, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. Because the first time that you say I'm alone, it sounds like you're the victim.
Right.
You're not. You're not the victim. You are actually in a position that you have more energy, that you have more resources, so you have more responsibilities.
Right.
So, but again, because you move from that, let's say, non-power position to power position, how do you go to tell people I'm alone? How do you show yourself as a victim? That's very, very challenging. So it's about acknowledging that you are alone, not as a victim, but as challenge itself.
Right.
So the moment you do that, everything else will come into place. Maybe for you it's important to talk. Maybe for you it's important to go fishing once a week. Maybe for you it's important to go and watch a concert. Mm-hmm. Maybe for you it's important to go in front of your team and speak for 30 minutes. Right. I don't know. Everyone will find its right move to do things, but I think that only happens the moment that you acknowledge I'm alone, I'm not a victim, I'm here because I have that responsibility. What should I do to, besides and around everything else, I put this new problem, which is, and I'm alone.
Yep. Yeah, I think I love it that you're just this is not a victim statement. It's not about being a victim. It's just an acknowledgement. And because being a victim is when you blame outside events, other people, or circumstances for why you are who you are. No, you chose this path. You chose to be at the top, right? And so we just sometimes, I think, don't understand what that means until you get there. And then you're like, oh, that's what all this means, right? Because there's no way to tell people. I mean, you can tell them, but they can't understand it until they step into your shoes. So tell me, if there's a question I failed to ask, or if there's something that you really want the people to know out there. So let's say you're talking to an up and coming leader. Is there something else that you want people to know that we haven't covered today that would be really essential in helping them find their true success?
I would probably end with exactly how we started, and it's probably listen to yourself. I think we don't tend to do that. We talk about not being a victim. We talked about getting your team to be the best they can. We talked about honesty. So I think that you need to spend every day a couple of minutes just to listen to yourself. And you said it. Usually the answers are there. So listen to yourself, work around that you're listening, and believe me, probably you'll have really tough days, really tough weeks. But if you continue to put the effort, if you continue to listen to yourself, eventually things will turn around. Right. That's really hard to understand. Like you said, only people that live through very complex problems know that. But I think that's the difference. Just putting one step in front of the other, just knowing that you have to get somewhere, and eventually you will.
Right. So 2 things. One is I want you to tell the people what's your official title and what's your company so that they know that. And the second thing is if somebody had a question around anything you said today, is the best place to find you on LinkedIn?
Yes. So the best way to find me is through LinkedIn. I work as a CEO for Group ALTO, but I would like to see myself as more, to be honest. I think that I'm just someone who's reachable, so feel free to reach me. And like I said at the beginning, I'm just someone who likes to work around complex problems. So I would like to think that's my new title.
Well, I love that you like it, because if you like it, then those complex problems that other people can't solve, you can, right? Because you don't make them so complex in your mind. That's the huge piece, is you've found a way to A, love it, and B, is you found a way to make them simple. So in your head, here's the biggest thing I think that people do, is they create an obstacle in your own mind that you can't get through. But you've already changed that in such a way that it's easier for you to, you honor, this is who I am, I love it, and then you say, but I can make it simple. Everything is complex as at one point simple. So thank you, Edgar, for your time here. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the wonderful wisdom that you shared with us today. And so, folks, if you love this, please subscribe. Please hit the subscribe button. Come back again to those other guests. And everybody have a winning day. Bye now.
Thank you.